The bull session continues on the Richard Syrett Show. News Talk, Sauga 960 AM.
Hey, welcome back. So let's meet David Freiheit, Canadian lawyer, political analyst, YouTuber, vlogger, and now running under the People's Party of Canada banner in the riding of Notre Dame de Grâce Westmount. David, welcome. How are you? Oh, I think you're on mute there, my friend. Whoops.
On mute,
there we go.
and now can you hear me?
There we go.
All right, awesome.
How did you get your silver play button?
Oh, well, I hit 100,000. I was nervous that they were going to find a way to not give it to me, but ultimately it's just a number. What's amazing now is the levels that we've reached in terms of viewership, in terms of content, in terms of networking. It's turned into something well beyond what I ever thought it could have turned into.
Right, like 375,000. Is silver button is play
100,000
is 100,000. What's next? Gold
next
is 500.
I think gold at $1 million. So
$1 million.
It'll be a while. But the great thing is that it's become sustainable. We've developed a network of friends, and I call them contacts, but they're mostly friends. Within the legal community on YouTube, we feed off each other, we help each other, and ultimately we discuss things and clarify things for the rest of the people to actually understand in a meaningful way what's going on around them.
Right. So just, you've given us kind of a nice summation of what Viva Fry is all about. Just tell us about that name, Viva Fry.
Well, so yeah, it started off as just a random channel way back in the day when I was a lawyer. I would just put up random videos to entertain myself, to distract from the practice. I just went with Viva Fry because it was sort of live free. My last name is Freiheit, which verbatim means freedom in German. So it was a random name. A lot of people said throughout the journey that I should change it to something that would be more legal, less able to be confused as a potential woman's name. People said they're going to think you're Vivian. Ultimately, I'm stubborn. I kept it. We've developed it into something of a brand, but it was only through stubbornness and some darn good luck.
So walk us through the sort of the journey. Like, are you still practicing law, or are you now doing this full-time vlogging and YouTube?
I'm doing this full time. I have two very lucky clients that are the only two clients I've retained after having wound up my legal practice. But basically 2016, I said I was going to wind up the legal practice, focus on YouTube, not really knowing where the channel was going to go. And then it blossomed into this legal channel where once I did the breakdown of Alex Jones's deposition, that video got 250,000 views. And I said, this is what I think I can contribute to the greater good. Legal analysis, just nothing politicized, nothing slanted, nothing skewed or partisan. Just explain to people what's going on, because the more I watched of mainstream news and the more I looked into things myself, the more I realized we're not just getting the headlines, we're getting inaccurate headlines and nothing else. And so I started with that Alex Jones deposition breakdown. It exposed me to the world of YouTube censorship, the politicized nature of YouTube censorship, free speech issues, Section 230 immunity under the Communications Decency Act. It introduced me to a whole new world, but it really was the COVID lockdowns that pushed me over the edge politically, because I have the shirt that says politics ruins everything, and I believe it. It's only been in the last year where I've seen quite literally what I thought was a free and democratic Canada crumble all around me, that I said, I don't really have much of a choice. If I don't try to do something above and beyond what I'm already doing, I might feel unfulfilled. I might feel some regret that I won't want to feel, when I'm an old man fishing.
Right. And so why did you feel that you found a home in the People's Party?
So it's an interesting thing. I'm not conservative. I'm not liberal. And when I met with Maxime Bernier and I said, look, you're going to have to, the party's going to have to agree to my catchphrase, which is, I didn't want to be here, but I saw no choice. And I think it's the greatest flattery to the party, because I saw no choice and there was no other party to join. For anyone who wanted to preserve freedom, preserve democracy, preserve what I always thought was what it meant to be Canadian. Being liberal, as far as, or supporting at the very least the current Liberal administration, it's a non-starter. In my law vlogs, I educated myself on the rampant systemic corruption within Justin Trudeau's administration. And this is not a partisan attack. First of all, I voted Liberal in my life, I voted Conservative in my life, and I voted other in my life. So this is not some deeply rooted partisan hatred. I have educated myself on the rampant and, I dare say, politically unforgivable corruption within Justin Trudeau's administration. And, so the Conservative Party, as I've seen, has done strictly nothing to defend Canadians. I mean, they almost seem more liberal than the Liberals to some extent. And not politically, just in terms of not defending constitutional values, not respecting individual rights, and jumping on what I think ultimately is an overreaction to a problem that can never be justified in fact and in result. And at the end of the day, the People's Party of Canada was the only one out there saying this has gone way too far overboard, and we need to start getting some of our rights back, and we need to start taking some of our rights back. And that means, it was the only party for me to join. I got to meet Maxime. I got to meet some other people in the party. I got along with them. We share values. And I said, this is where I'm going to try to make my difference in the landscape of Canadian politics.
David Freiheit, reluctant candidate, lawyer, vlogger, YouTuber, and we'll come back and chat some more. Viva Fry is with us. Stay tuned for more.
Just having a little chin wag on the Richard Syrett Show. News Talk, Sauga 960 AM.
Yes, we are having a little chin wag with David Freiheit, lawyer, political analyst, YouTuber, vlogger, and the YouTube is under the name Viva Fry, F-R-E-I, Viva Fry. Again, running for the People's Party of Canada in Notre Dame de Grace, Westmount. And I got to ask you, because I know you've talked about this, or I believe you've talked about this, and that is, it's a bit of a head scratcher for me. I've had Derek Sloan on the program a number of times, a likable enough fellow. I would say I probably agree with him about 90% of the time, but I don't understand why he is running or launching this new party when I think he would be perfectly happy within the People's Party, and I think Max would be happy to have him. What's going on there, do you think?
So I don't have much insider information. I heard and know of what Sloan is doing. I can't possibly hypothesize on the intention. It does seem like it would have been more value added, more productive in terms of building a viable party to compete with the Conservatives, to not start another party. I don't know what his plans are, but ultimately it's not going to change anything if there are more voices showing how not conservative the Conservative Party is. It might be better. It does dilute potentially some of the vote to get, at the very least, another party to compete with the Conservatives, but everyone makes their own decisions, and I don't second guess it, but I don't know the motivation behind it.
Do you think it's a mistake? I do.
Yeah, I think there could be at some point the risk of diluting alternate parties. But Maxime Bernier has done a good job starting the new party, and now we're just putting all our best efforts into getting this party known across the country after I'd say the onslaught of misinformation from 2018 in the election. And I lived through this because at the time, my channel started picking up on the law side. I started noticing a lot of PPC supporters in the chat, in the comments, leaving messages. And then I knew what I was reading in the paper, that it was a racist party. It was a xenophobic party. Maxime Bernier is an awful person, anti-immigrant, all the typical slander and libel that we expect, from politics. It wasn't what I understood to be the party to be. And it's only sort of in learning more about it and how this slander started in the first place with buying, fake Facebook messages that are racist in nature and then hiring a marketing firm to pull these up and to wrongly depict the party as being racist. I've met with the people in the party. I know the values. There's nothing racist about the party. And the irony is it's only the people throwing these accusations out there that themselves have a proven track record of questionable past conduct.
So we got here because we have a Conservative Party that is, it's like that old Groucho Marx line about, these are my principles, and if you don't like them, I have others. And so we have this splinter, and I sincerely hope the People's Party becomes more than just a splinter party. But what do you think it's going to take for this party to really gain some serious traction? Let's be honest, they're not going to form the next government. Maybe in 10 years, I don't know. I would like it to come sooner than later. But we have this complicit media that carries water for the Liberal Party, or if the Conservatives get in, I think the Conservative Party exists right now to sustain this illusion that we actually have a two-party system or a multi-party system. There's no difference between them. What's it going to take?
Well, what's it going to take? It's a good question. I think the more Aaron O'Toole talks, the more people are going to see that the Conservative Party, at the very least under his leadership, appears to be nothing more than liberal version 2.0. Aaron O'Toole's talking about, I might get the number wrong, that Bill C-10, the internet regulation bill, yes, and says we're going to repeal it if elected. And I tweet out sort of tongue in cheek, it's like, hey, how about you just fight to oppose it now instead of talking about how you're going to repeal it if and when you get elected? Because Lord knows when governments get into power and they start feeling the force of these tools that they now have, they become somewhat more reluctant to give up these weapons of control. And once you hear things like that, you begin to realize that they're not actually fighting for anything meaningful. It's sort of just say what you think is going to appeal to the broadest potential base in the hopes of eking out some form of government, some form of majority government. It's not going to happen, though. And I'm convinced that the more Erin O'Toole takes to Twitter and takes to social media, the more people are going to see the party for what it is under its current leadership, and the better it's going to be for the PPC. The biggest thing would be to get Maxime into the debate so that we can get these ideas out there, so that people can see that there's nothing racist about wanting to have stricter limitations on immigration. On the contrary, it is fundamentally anti-racist to want to take care of Canadian citizens who are of all races, creeds, and religions. The idea of bringing more people into Canada to neglect who we already have here, the problems that we already have, it's not just un-Canadian. I would dare say that it neglects the people that you have have distinct problems. And looking only to the Indigenous problems, you have Justin Trudeau, who's focused on the international, focused on immigration, poses for a nice exploitive photo opportunity. And meanwhile, they've been fighting to have drinking water for decades now.
Right. It was my colleague here on the program, Lou Skizas, who suggested actually Justin may have been stealing that bear from the. That's pretty crass, perhaps.
I try to avoid certain types of tweets, but I've gotten a little not edgier, but a little more frustrated in my tweets. But it's pure political exploitation, pandering. Absolutely. And you see it. You see it in moments of honesty when Trudeau does not think he's being recorded, sitting there complaining for 2.5 minutes. At a meeting with some elders that, they went over their 8 minutes after having driven 4 hours to meet with him for reconciliation. They went over their 8 minutes talking time, and he's on a hard schedule. I mean, this is the perspective. It's, I have time for you when it's good for me politically, but ultimately it's only for the photo op. Move on so I can go do something else. It's not the way to govern.
Absolutely. All right, we'll take another time out. David, stay with us. We'll come back and chat some more. David Freiheit, Canadian lawyer and very popular YouTuber, Viva Fry. Back with more in a minute. Stay with us.
Let's rejoin the conversation on The Richard Syrett Show on News Talk, Sauga 960 AM.